So strap in and get ready.
The leaders in AFL SuperCoach are incoming, helping you win your leagues and climb up the rankings.
You're now listening to the Insight AFL Show with your hosts, Big Horse and Skinny.
Hello and welcome to the Inside AFL Show. I'm your host, The Horse, and with me, he's back, Deadly. We've got something different for the viewers today.
Yeah, I've completely robbed this off the NRL show, so thanks, boys. I'll give you a kiss next time I see you. Yeah, good to be back. It's been a while since I've been on as of late. Shaved the mustache, obviously.
Yeah,
got a
the stash is gone.
Got a microphone,
and he's got a proper mic, so you know you've made it when you've got to clean up the facial hair and you've got a proper mic.
Even though Horses sort of stitched me up and made me hold it, but it's all sweet. We have a good show ahead of us here. We're splitting this into it's like a 4-part series. First of all we have the defense tier list. We'll do midfielders next, rucks, forwards. It's pretty self-explanatory. I'm sure you'll get it as we go along, but we have the top 25 most owned defenders as of right now. And we're going to rank them between us into 5 categories. We have set and forget, potential keeper, upsides there, but meh, value pick, and the Campbell Chesser, which is basically we don't want him.
No, that's exactly right. So as you just heard, the top 25 most owned players in the defensive line. That's what we're going to look at today. And we're going to split them up into 5 categories. So we'll go through it all verbally if you're listening to us on all audio platforms. If you're watching us on YouTube, we do have a graph here. So you can take a screenshot at the end if you like and refer to it down the track. Or even better, you can jump in our Patreon where you'll find all this information and more for free. But before we continue on, a big thanks to our day one sponsors, the Standard Squeeze, who are helping you drink responsibly and conveniently. We've got a new code, IFS 2025. That's right, IFS 2025. Put that code in and you get 15% off everything in store at the Standard Squeeze. All right, mate, let's get started straight away. We don't want to keep the people at home waiting too much longer.
Absolutely.
Who is first on your list there?
So Bo Allen is currently the most owned defender. Oh, and by the way, just quickly we'll preface this. If they're defender mid, forward mid, stuff like that, any forward mids, if they're in the top 25 most owned, they'll be in the forward line. Any defender mids in defense, and the mids will probably just be straight mids, to be honest. And yeah, rucks will be just straight rucks. But yeah, Bo Allen we have first off, and he's currently playing, well, I think their game just finished, but yeah, he was playing right about now in the practice match, and he looked pretty good, didn't he?
Yeah, he looked pretty sure with his hands. Didn't get a lot of the ball, but used it really well. And just like Layla, just safe hands and just knew where to go to find the ball. So I feel like he's going to keep his spot across half back and he'll be a round 1 debutant. You reckon, where do you see him putting him in?
Probably just value pick. He's never going to have him as a keeper or nothing like that. Probably just a value pick. Great starting price. You can lock him in your defense. Potentially have him on field. Yeah, DPP's handy. But yeah, you can potentially have him on field. But yeah, I think most people will probably have him as maybe a D6. I think I probably will. But yeah, he's straight into the value pick for me.
Yep, like that at 136K off the top of my head. Defender mid. Don't expect too much of an average out of him. I'd say 60 to 65 I think is fairly safe, but for a playing rookie that's going to generate you cash fairly quickly, there's your man. Who's next?
We got Callum Mills, probably one of the more talked about people this offseason. Very discounted price at 357K, defender only. And yeah, he looks to be a part of the mid-rotation at the Swannies, back to where he used to be.
Yep.
There's always going to be talk around, how much time is there actually in that Sydney midfield with all the midfielders they have. But Mills is just classy. He's done it before, and he's probably a lock for a D3, D4, D5, depending on how your team is structured. And there is a chance that he could just, he has averaged upwards of 118 in the past, and
he's He's 300K less than what he was 2 years ago right now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If he, stays anywhere near that, he's, I think, potential keeper. Yeah.
So you put him in the potential keeper.
I'm happy to slot him straight in there.
Yep.
In the potential keeper tier. Because, there is a chance that, he could get up to like the 100 average, which is probably, you're happy with that at D6. You're not going to sell him to get a guy who's averaging 105. There's no real point in it.
No. Next we have Sardell Hawley from the Footy Club. He's got quite high ownership numbers.
Yeah, he's third in the ownership tier for defenders. But honestly, he wasn't that impressive in the practice match the other day against the Bulldogs, was he? He was pretty quiet out in the wing.
Yeah, he was. He was running. Who was he running alongside? Was it Sam Davidson?
Sam Davidson, yeah.
I think they were head to head, and they both nullified each other a little bit.
Yeah.
For me, the upside's there, but it's a bit meh, isn't it? It's a bit muddied.
He will make money, but it doesn't seem like it'll be the good, decent scoring player that we could have in field at 119K that we thought the start of the preseason. It's probably a bit of the slower burn action. Yeah, Sam Davidson probably actually outperformed him on that wing the other day. I think Hawley maybe had 3 touches the whole game, which he probably
he looked a bit rushed too. Yeah,
he probably only played a half, but still the upside is there because there is money to be made no matter what, as long as he plays. But at the same time, I think there is a way where you kind of avoid him.
Yep.
There is a world.
Toby Travaglia is
Travaglia.
next. The Bendigo lad at 170-odd K as a mid defender. I like this pick. And the reason why I like this pick even more than what I did a month ago is because of all the injuries that are going on at St Kilda. They've had to call off their practice match because of the injury toll that's going on. So they're already looking to put their players in cotton wool, and we haven't even started proper practice matches yet. For Travaglia, I see him playing across halfback. Yes, he's at an inflated price, but I feel like he's going to be in and around the ball off halfback, may even get some time on a wing, which we don't want to hear, but at 170K and with the amount of troops that they're down, it's not unreasonable in the first month of the season to expect a 70 to 75 average.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He's impressed them at training. He's probably one that they see as a bit more versatile type where they can play in a couple of different positions, which is not great. We would rather him just play at halfback, to be honest. But it shows they have a lot of faith in him. And, at 172K, I'm happy to put my trust in him and lock him in as a bit of a value pick to make me some money to start the season.
Let's bang him in. The next on the list is someone that I went to watch personally a couple of days ago down at Arden Street, and that's Harry Sheasel. Do we really have to talk about him, or can we just put him in the set and forget?
We're putting him in set and forget. He's too good of a footy player where you can play him anywhere on the ground. He'll do a job. He'll still score SuperCoach points. He's probably, if he's not D1, he's very close.
I watched him live the other day, and he is even better to watch live than what he is on TV. He's just so silky, just knows where to find the ball, so creative. His running patterns are good. His teammates trust him with the ball, so they look to get the ball to him every time. It's just a set and forget. Absolutely.
Zach Reid. Mate, what are your thoughts on Zach Reid after the practice match? Because I'm probably cooled off on him a bit. It's going to be such a slow burn, but the problem is these defensive rookies are so hard, especially this year, because you can load up the defense and have 3 guys at max, have a rookie in D6, probably a Bo Allen or something, and then 2 others in D7, D8. But at the same time, if you don't want your structure like that, you're probably looking at teams that need 5 rookie defenders, and Zach Reid's probably one of them still, but it's going to be a horribly slow burn, and that's even if his body holds up.
Yeah, I don't mind it, for reasons being that they've got quite a few games coming up. Got 3 of their first 7 at the MCG, 1 in Perth, 1, 2, 3, 4 at Marvel Stadium, 2 in the first 10 rounds, which means it's going to be under roof. I think the weather has probably scared people off a little bit in that game, Essendon versus Western Bulldogs. It was blowing sideways. It was raining. It's not a day for bigs. So expect that if you get a shitty day, it's going to be like that. It's going to be tough for bigs. And
Yeah.
really, were there any bigs that sort of were outstanding in that game the other day? Probably not, apart from Edwards, who sort of defied belief as a mid-sized forward.
I'll tell you what, as much of a cone as he is, Rory Lobb played incredible in that first half to the eye. He every ball that went high in his direction, he came down with. But yeah, Reid showed his ability. He showed the flashes of what we know he's capable of as Essendon fans, and what we've sort of been trying to tell people. He's a great intercept marker, and he's one of the best in the league by foot for how tall he is.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably going to be a slow burn, but I think if you're struggling for defenders, he's probably not when you can play on field. But if you're happy to lock him in, I can happily put him in value pick.
Yeah, I'm with you.
119k.
Yep.
And yeah, go right ahead, and he could be your D8 for a good chunk of the season. Hopefully, make you 100k before he goes down injured.
For sure. Speaking of injuries, we're talking about Kitty Coleman next from the Brisbane Lions. So a news article's come out in the past couple of days stating that he won't be ready until rounds 4 to 5.
Yeah.
So he's going to miss the first month of the season, which it's not great for Brisbane Lions supporters and people who want to start him in Supercoach. But you know what? By the time he plays 2 games and he's potentially right for the price rise, our rookies might have fattened up enough for us to be able to go sideways from a Zach Reid into a Kitty Coleman.
Yeah, absolutely. The problem is it's getting worse and worse for him. Like originally it looked like he was ready to go, ready to train. Now he's not ready to, then he wasn't ready to play round 0, maybe back round 1. Now he's not back until round 4 or 5. It's a bit scarce, a bit worrying. I think for now, well, obviously you can't pick him now. He's not playing until a month into the season. He's in Campbell Chester tier for now. But yes, you are right. Once these rookies fatten up a bit, go sideways to him, he can make an extra 100, 150, 200k. It'll be perfect. But for now, he is Campbell Chester tier. You can't start with him. I don't know how his ownership is still high.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of it.
And you are prefacing this by saying that this is to start the year.
This is starting the season.
That's right.
As soon as those rookies fatten up a bit and he's ready to go, he looks good, he's in his role, value pick, beautiful. But right now, he's
not going to play. Yeah, you're just wasting money.
You can't pick him. Yep.
No. All right, let's get in. Yeah, let's get in some primos, mate. Maxi Holmes from Geelong. Does the early buy deter you at all?
Sort of, yes, because the way my team is structured, I'm happy to have one primo for each of the early buys. I think I can get away with it.
Yep.
And for that big first buy, my primo is not going to be Max Holmes.
No.
I don't hate the pick. I'm pretty surprised to see that he was 20%, 21% owned or whatever he was.
Yep.
Pretty, he's a good player. It probably looks like he's going to be, him and Stewart switched around in the mid defense a lot. Probably looks like he's more of the mid now, and Stewart's down back again, judging by practice matches and intra-clubs and all this sort of stuff. I can see the upside, but to be honest, I think there's better primos out there. It's just a bit meh to me right now. I think he's one you could probably get later in the season if he's really looking hot.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So where are we putting him?
I'm happy to put him in. Upside's there, but meh. He will score big. The floor's, it's not the lowest. It's a good floor. It's a nice person to have, but I just think there is better options out there at similar prices in the defensive line. And yes, the DPP is handy, but you can even spend the same amount in a midfield and get, you can get close to a Rory Laird, who I think is a better option this season. You can save 80k and get a Clayton Oliver. All these guys, you can save 200k and get a James Peatling. It all,
for sure,
it all aligns, but at the same time, yeah, I think there is better options out there.
I'd probably put Maxi Holmes in the potential keeper. As long as you're structuring your team, so then you've got 18 solid scorers when his buy rolls around.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll agree with that. If you're unlike me and you buy a player for that round, you want it to be Maxi Holmes, go right ahead. He's a potential keeper. He probably will be near and around top 8 defenders, top 10 in that area. You could probably lock him into that sort of region. And yeah, if that's the case, you go out, he's a potential keeper. You're probably right with him, but I think you can go without starting him.
Our next player, is that Jack Sinclair?
That is Jack Sinclair. And yeah, another man who's copped a shocking injury toll from this St Kilda backline. Right now, he's probably in the Campbell Chester tier, even though it looked like he was going to be in the set and forget tier to start the preseason. This Saints backline has really copped it. That whole team's copped it, to be honest with you. And yeah, it's what's it looking like? Round 4 or something for him as well with the hamstring.
Round 1.
Round 1. Okay. I thought it was a lot worse than that.
No.
Yeah, look, I probably won't start with him anyway, especially now straight off a hamstring. I don't trust it, but
yeah,
592k. I'd rather just I'd rather actually start with a Dane Zorko if you can work out the bye rounds. Yes, the draw's good, but I'm not sure about it anymore.
I like that you brought it up because with a hamstring injury, it does take a little bit of time to get the loads back up. And what I mean by that is by getting the Ks in the leg and getting match sim and that sort of jazz. So at 600k, you're probably going to want someone who has had a full preseason, who's firing, who you know is going to be running above the ground. It's tough. It's tough in any footy to get through 4 quarters, let alone 4 quarters off the back of a 4-week hamstring with a injury interrupted preseason. So we saw last year he had an injury interrupted preseason as well, and started the season off really slowly and got to around 500k before he started popping off. So I think that by the season's end he will be top 6.
Yeah,
but to start the year, not for me just yet.
Yeah, to start the year, I don't like it.
Yeah,
at all, to be honest with you. But yeah, later in the season, when he gets the Ks in the legs, when he's ready to go, probably maybe post bye, maybe slightly before. Yeah, 100% he's an option.
So we're going upsides there.
Right now, I'm not the biggest fan, but yes, the upside is still there if he starts, defies the odds and starts well. Next we have another defensive rookie, James Leake. He played 8 games in the VFL last year and had 108.4 SuperCoach points per game, which really impressive numbers. And he had a 37 touch game in one of them
towards the end of the year.
Yeah, he looks like he's going to slot straight into sort of a Harry Perryman role down back for GWS, and I think he's probably one you can get away with starting and having, as a D7 and be happy with.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think I need to add too much more there. I think there's absolute value there in James Leake on your defensive bench.
Yep, value pick for sure.
The Diddley.
Flanders.
Now,
Diddley.
If we spoke about this 12 months ago and we were having our doubts about Sam Flanders, you'd be calling us crazy.
Yep.
But he has had back issues all preseason to the point where he's been struggling to train and hasn't been able to put a solid block of training together yet.
Yep.
At that price and a back injury, there's just red flags everywhere.
That price, early buy, back injury, still don't know what his position is, to be honest, even though he will score well
wherever.
Wherever. But he's sort of played a bit three-dimensional last year. He played a couple of games at half forward, midfield, and half back, obviously, were his main two. And right now, I still don't know what the plan is for Gold Coast because they're training. They like to keep all their notes indoors and don't want to get it out to the media. And Sam Flanders hasn't trained for a while, so we don't know what the go is, to be honest with you.
And by not training, we mean contact drills. He will have been doing stuff indoors, whether it's in the gym or whether it's stretching or whether it's rehab, but we're talking contact drills.
Yeah, just full training where you're not hindered by anything.
No.
At 641k, it's the most expensive defender in the game. And the early buy and these back issues, I think he's Campbell Chester to start because I don't want to go anywhere near that.
No.
But yes, once he's ready, set and forget.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. So you've got a midfield of Noah Anderson, Matt Rowell, and Took Miller alongside Flanders. And then down back, they've also recruited Johnny Noble and Dan Rioli, who are running defenders as well. So you think about the Supercoach points that are going to be shared amongst those 7 players that I've just reeled off. I don't think the heights are there for Flanders this year. He is an accumulator of the ball, but with Noble and Rioli coming into the side, he has more help now. And then you think of the likes of Will Powell down back, Brodie Uland, who's down there. Gold Coast are all of a sudden pretty deep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think he will be a keeper come season's end, but I think we can get him at a discounted price.
Yeah, 100%. Maybe there is a world where he plays a bit more forward this year, because really, if you look at Gold Coast team, the only spot they're lacking is forward. And when Sam Flanders goes up there and plays a bit of half forward, he is the best on that team. Yeah, they have a good midfield without him, obviously, with Noah Anderson, Took, and Rao. So there is a world where I can see him spending a bit more time forward. I think you can avoid for a while. Maybe, I can't remember when Gold Coast bye is, but obviously they have the early bye. I'm not looking at him anywhere near before the early bye. When he comes down a bit, I'll probably have a look at him.
Awesome, mate. Who we got there in the Swans jumper?
Riley Bice with a gorgeous mustache. It's absolutely gorgeous. I don't know if you can see it great. I don't know. If
I can see it. Yeah, we can see it.
Here we go. I don't know. Let me get it in a bit more. I just want to show off how gorgeous
these ads just keep popping up.
Yeah, shocking. But you can see him on the left there. It's a hot boy mustache. I'm a big fan of it. But yeah, I'm not a hot boy fan of him. Well,
not at all.
Not for Supercoach anyway. He's not going to crack into the Sydney backline. He's not a value option. He's nothing. Maybe potentially later down the year as a downgrade option, but right now he's not in contention as a mature aged.
Yeah, let's give Campbell Chesser some company. Yeah,
absolutely. Someone who probably would have ended up in the Campbell Chesser tier before the practice match that you went to the other day, Matt Whitlock.
Mm-hmm.
He was real impressive, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was really good in person. What impressed me, he was good above his head, but below his knees. Like his follow-up work was really good. There were a couple of times where he didn't quite take the mark, but his follow-up in his second efforts, where he's running along, picking the ball up below his knees, giving off the handball, and then dropping to Shepherd straight away. He's quite athletically gifted for a big guy. There's upside there. Like normally with key position players and rookies in Supercoach, there's no real value, but I can see this guy playing across half back. And I see why North Melbourne traded to get this guy in. He screams potential.
Absolutely. He's probably one that will be, in a few years down the track, he's probably one of the best tools in the whole game, in the whole AFL. Yes, I still think the trade was pretty silly, but my God, was he impressive. The thing that worries me is, I think it's Aiden Core. Aiden Core was only scheduled to play a half a footy and then do laps because he's still coming back from an injury.
Shoulder.
Yep, shoulder injury. So that's sort of why Whitlock got his run, and they needed, Aiden Core to go up against these tall forwards in the A team, which is why Whitlock played in the A team, I feel. I think Aiden Core's still ahead of him, but I can see a world where he still breaks into this spot in the back line pretty easily. Yeah. I think there is upside. There's probably still better options out there. Upside's there, but meh. I
agree.
Yeah, but keep an eye on that kid. He's going to be one of North's best in a few years.
Yeah. Before you continue on, mate, within the Insight Fantasy Sports Network, we have a Patreon page where we release articles, team previews, and all that sort of jazz about your team and Supercoach specific players each day throughout the preseason. Listen to this guy; he'll tell you more.
Want to take your Supercoach game to the next level? Insight Fantasy Sports are bringing you exclusive content all year round, such as weekly expert Q&As, team, trade, and captaincy advice, statistical deep dives, priority podcast questions, and tons more. So what are you waiting for? Get full access to the experts. Go to patreon.com/Insight Fantasy Sports and subscribe to Insight Unlimited today.
He's got a great accent, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I say it every time. Pay him more.
Yeah.
Give the man a pay rise.
Talk to me about Jed Buslinger, because he was actually quite good in the practice match against Essendon the other day.
Yeah, he was, absolutely. But the thing that worries me straight away is he wasn't. So it looked like the main teams, without the injuries, obviously, and the people that missed, like the Bont, the Trawlers, the Libbers, looked like their A team played in the first half. He played in the second half, but he really dominated in that second half. I think personally, he is still an option. I think there is a spot for him back there. It's just, can we trust it for a long time? Because it seems like he's sort of the first guy to get kicked out if something goes wrong down there.
Yeah. So do you see him starting?
I think I probably would have him back in their back six.
Mm-hmm.
It's just where, because no Bailey Dale in that practice match. Joel Frazier looked incredible. Lockie Bramble's got his spot. Rory Lobb looked great. He's got his spot.
Then you've got the likes of Gardner and O'Donnell and those sorts of players.
Yeah, there's all these guys that could come in very quickly. Taylor Juraya's probably one that's, knocking on the door to be somewhere in that back six. Is there a spot for him? I'm not too sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think they might start with him, but right now I'm sort of hesitant.
Okay. Where are you putting him?
It's tough. If there was a tier in the middle of value pick and Campbell Chesser, he'd be in there. If he starts, he's a value pick.
I think the upside's there.
The upside is there
if he gets picked.
Absolutely. If you can find a better defensive rookies, if your structure works for it, go right ahead, because I'm not confident in him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to put him, just around there.
Yeah,
might even do that. Just upsides there, but the value picks we like better. Than most of these guys. And
who's the next Richmond player?
Lukey Trainer.
Okay.
Did he play today?
If he did, I didn't see much of him.
I don't think so, because they only named about 3 players that are actually relevant.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he plays round 1. I don't think he's ready yet. Even though he looks like he's going to be great in the future, I don't think he's ready yet.
Yeah, I don't know too much about him, so I'm just going to have to take your word for it, and we'll put him in the Campbell Chesser field of not relevant to start with.
There is better defensive rookies than him as well. He's
okay.
He's going to be a slow burn if he does play.
Okay.
So I think he can happily avoid. And probably another man that ends up in the Campbell Chesser tier, Josh Gibcus.
Oh yeah.
Did he play today?
He's still coming back from an ACL, I believe.
Yeah, he's riddled with injuries. He's had a shocking time with injuries over the past few years, and he's still quite young.
Yep.
I still don't understand why he's getting picked, to be honest with you. I think everyone's sort of it's all the people from last year are picking him again.
Yep.
I don't know why. He's Campbell Chesser for me. He's 150k, and he's still yet to even train. So,
yep. Bang him in, mate. Not more.
Don't even want to know about it.
Is that Dan Houston next?
Houston, new Collingwood Magpie.
Yeah. Now, before we start with Dan Houston, people are tending to forget, because he's got quite high ownership numbers, that he's suspended for the first game.
Yes.
And then they have a bye in round 3. So he's not going to see any form of price rise until round 4. So effectively, we get a fair while to look at him before he either drops coin or you want to pay up for him.
Yeah, he's one that I have no interest in until he looks good somewhat later in the season. I think it's a great move from Collingwood. They absolutely needed a guy like Dan Houston to push them over the edge and get back to premiership land. But as of right now, I don't think you can start with him, especially at the price. There's not much upside to what he's already priced at. compared to what he did at Port, he won't do much different at Collingwood. He might even do a bit less because there's not going to be as much ball for him. I think for now you can probably wait and see if he's, the guy down back for Collingwood. He probably will be, take most of the kick-ins, but at the same time, just wait. He's Campbell Chesser for me to start the season for now. But yeah, later down the track, he could be a guy we get amongst.
Definitely be a potential keeper.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Lockie Whitfield, next.
Yeah, this he's one of two. He's one of the two top ones. He's set and forget a potential keeper.
Yep.
If you are happy to start with him and you're happy to cover him over the bye, set and forget. They'd look to get the ball to him
all the time. All the time. Yeah. He could be 20 metres behind the ball and they're getting the ball to him. And you want to know something else about Lockie Whitfield?
He's pretty hot. Yeah, go on.
He's sponsored by Ryan from Astute Newstead. For all your finance needs, use the code promo INSIGHT when you speak to Ryan, and you will get an obligation-free quote, and he will help you out however it may be. Rip a bloke with probably one of the worst moustaches in the history of
No, I'll give him his
mankind.
flowers. It's better than mine now.
Yours is gone. You don't qualify. So Lockie Whitfield, pretty safe to say, set and forget?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're going to start with him, you set and forget. Yeah, there is even upside for him at 598k. There is upside to him to get to these Sheasel and Flanders realms.
Yep.
They love getting the ball to him. I think, there is a world where with all these GWS departures that he's even more involved. And, those 40 touch games that he has once a month comes a bi-weekly basis.
Yeah.
I love it.
Who else? Who you got next there?
Jaden Short. I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed I even have to speak about him.
Yeah.
Look, I think he's fantastic value. Awesome value. And honestly, I probably will say he's potential keeper at the value. But at the same time, my God, I'm not going there after last season. That really sucked. Sucked.
After watching Richmond's game plan today, and you'll know that today we're recording on a Monday, I watched the game and Richmond played an incredibly slow-placed game where it was just possession footy and they were chip kick, chip kick, chip kick. I feel like this is going to benefit Short.
Absolutely.
And if this happens again in their next practice match and he plays and he gets a lot of the ball, he could be a potential keeper this year.
Without Dan Rioli, he will take most of the kick-ins.
He will.
He's going to be the main distributor.
Mm-hmm.
And excuse my French, I fucking hate him from last year.
He's done a hamstring like 3 years in a row too, so there's injury risk there.
Yeah. We're finding all bad things to say about him, but at the same time, he's just in such a good role. He has the SuperCoach pedigree. He is a potential keeper, and I think you can happily go there. I'm not going to just because of how much he burnt me last season. It'll probably come back to backfire me because he's in such a good role and he's so cheap. I know Josh, the SuperCoach Whisperer from the NRL show, he absolutely adores Jaden Short and he loves putting shit on me because of how much I hate him. But yeah, he will start with him. And I think, if you want to, and you didn't get burnt last year and you want to experience getting burnt, go ahead. I'm happy.
Spot on. Colby McKercher's next. He's an interesting one, mate. So
very interesting one.
Again, I went to the North Melbourne practice match on the weekend and he started on a half-forward flank, moved up into the midfield. Yeah, there were some highlights getting around of his run and carry.
Yep.
The role wasn't great, though. Like, people need to understand that North Melbourne played their B team and a heap of kids from the VFL.
Yep.
So for your top-tier level players, it's not going to be that hard to stand out. I didn't like the amount of time he spent forward.
Yeah, I hated it, especially watching the coverage live at home here. Until the second half when he really got shifted to the midfield when all the rookies all the good ones got switched over to the A team and it was just sort of these VFL and SSP guys.
Yeah.
Then he started dominating. Like, when Luke Urquhart is the best on the B team, it's not great opposition. Yes, he dominated for a good chunk of that second half. He had a bit of a highlight reel because of it. But that time forward is so bad, and there is still a world where he stays out in the wing for a while as well as the half forward. There is a chance he doesn't even see any CBA time in games.
You're right.
And at
I-
476k,
being at the game, mate, you're right. When they were playing their strongest side against the Bees' strongest side, he was half forward. And he played half forward for a long, long time. Like the rotations of Will Powell, Lukey Parker, these sorts of guys, they were all in the midfield before him. And then he rotated onto a wing. It was like it was Colby McKercher, Bailey Scott, and Finn O'Sullivan. They were doing like a three-way rotation.
Yep. That's sort of what I expected. At 476k, the role's pretty shit, to be honest.
I think it's a trap.
It's a big trap. There's no halfback involved anymore.
No,
we
it's
thought
clearly
maybe it's
Caleb
wing.
Daniel.
Yeah, we thought it's wing and maybe some halfback. That's not an option anymore. I think it's Campbell Chesser. I think he's pretty well done. Like, yes, he's great last year. Great footy player. Fantastic footy player. He's going to be awesome.
I think you'll average 80, 85, but for someone that price,
there's no real upside in it. There's no money-making ability. He's not going to be a potential keeper at the role.
Nope.
Don't like it.
Who's next?
Caleb Smith. He's one that impressed you today.
Mate. First quarter against West Coast, he would have had 10 touches. Quick, hard at the ball, use the ball well.
Yep.
He will be starting on my defensive line, whether it's on field or on the bench.
Yep.
I'm not too sure yet, but he impressed the hell out of me today.
Yeah, and as you said before with Jaden Short, the slow, lethargic, chip kick sort of stuff, it's going to benefit this guy at halfback. And he could make money and could make it quick. And as long as he beats out Trezzy and Banks for that spot, lock him in, value pick, easy. He'll make you 200k.
Because I'll even throw this in there. I tried to watch the game quite closely, and having that footy coaching background, I'd want to try and understand gameplay and that sort of stuff. And you could see that Richmond were trying to change the play or switch the play and go out what they call the fat side, which is the open side of the ground. And with the likes of Kaczynski and Blight, who aren't good ball users, they were looking to get the ball in his hands a lot. Yep. So there's him and Ralph Smith and Tresize. They were all down there. But Smith was the one that probably stood out the most to me today.
Absolutely. Yeah,
there's definite value there.
Yep, value pick. I'll probably have him in my defense, maybe even D6, because, there is points on offer as well as value. Yep. So, yeah, it's a good option for him. Nasai Wanganeen-Miller, mate. He was okay in the Indigenous match. There wasn't much defense played, so he didn't really get that much of an opportunity. But I think he had a bit of an injury as well, potentially.
Yeah, not too sure.
I think he went off for a bit.
Yeah, but they were managing a lot of players, though.
Yeah.
I am not really taking anything out of the Indigenous All Stars game against Freo. It was great to watch. Don't get me wrong. There were some highlights that were fucking awesome in that game.
Just quickly, Jai Simpkin in that game, you get a round of applause for me. Not only was he great, but to see the raw emotion after he kicked that goal and came off, dedicated the goal to his pop who passed away.
Yeah.
The raw emotion, seeing him crying on the bench, I commend you, Jai Simpkin. That is fantastic.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Really proud of you. That's awesome. Now back to it.
Yeah. From a structure point of view, there wasn't really anything to take out of this. And even Longmuir came out and said that they played a vanilla game style because they didn't want to give too much away. So it was basically just a kick and giggle.
Yep. Yeah. Look, not even taking away from that anything out of that game. I was sort of interested in Wanganeen-Miller with all these Saints injuries to the halfback. He probably will be the main guy across halfback, take most of the kick-ins, all this sort of stuff. But at the same time, I'm just not sure that he's the best option because I don't think, there is upside, absolutely. But at the same time, I just think there is better options around the price mark. I think Jordan Clark's a better option. I think probably even Max Holmes is a better option. I don't like it personally. I know you don't mind him.
I like him.
I'm sort of split. So I'm happy to sort of go with, I think he's probably a potential keeper.
I think he's a potential keeper. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're going to start with him, you trust him. That's fair enough. I think upside's there, but meh. But look, I'm happy either way. I'm just not sold on him.
Look
too
at
high.
it. Look at it this way. I think St Kilda are going to do a little bit of a Richmond, like
Yep.
they did today. They're going to be a possession team. They're going to chip the ball across the back line. They're
Yep.
going to look to get the ball in his hands, and especially if Sinclair either misses time or pushes up into the midfield due to all their midfield injuries, he's going to be the ball distributor from back half for St Kilda. And we've seen the way that their running defenders have scored in the past. So there's huge upside there.
Yeah. I just loved his running carry. It's absolutely gorgeous to watch off half back. We'll move on to CKC's finest, Luke Ryan. Where do you sit on Luke Ryan this year, mate?
I think he's a potential keeper. Okay. When Justin Longmuir came out last year and said that he's sick of people just inflating their own stats and playing kick to kick, and they went more direct, which was just after their bye, he only scored 400s in the next 11 games. Sorry, so his value decreased. He loves kicking the kick-outs. Sorry.
Yep.
He loves being that link when they switch play, and he always plays on when he takes kick-outs. So there's always going to be point scoring ability there.
Yep.
Do I think that he's going to get to the heights of what he did to start last season? I don't think so. Freo are a better team now, and I think they will look better. Longmuir, again, came out and said they played very vanilla the other night. They didn't want to give anything away. I think they're going to be a really fast team. You look at the additions that they've got, headlined by Shea Bolton. Yeah, they're going to be absolutely crazy
players.
forward of centre. So they're going to want to move the ball quick.
Yeah, you're right. The thing is, and this is just sort of playing devil's advocate to you, their record really tanked when they sort of moved away from that chip kick, possession play.
Yeah,
they dropped out of the 8, and they were top 4 at the time when Longmuir said it, and it made me wonder if they sort of go back to it, just play a bit more possession, just wait for options to open up and then go.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm not too sure that they will go back to it. I think they'll sort of run with what they did towards the back end of last year, and with the guys that they've added, like you said, like the Boltons and having all these tall forwards, there's no real need to just play chip kick at the back and try and waste the clock. You can sort of pile it on pretty quick with them. And yes, I don't think he's set and forget. I think you can probably wait on Luke Ryan personally and get him somewhat later on. I think, potential keeper is probably the spot for me.
Yeah. And the last two, mate, we'll start with Tommy Stewart. So they've got a practice match going on at the moment.
Yeah.
Yep. Where the last play that we're going to talk about is going to be very relevant. But Tommy Stewart back across half back. I probably like this a lot less than Tommy Stewart midfield.
Yeah, he looks to be in the notes that we've received from our man Hurls. Thank you for doing that. Tommy Stewart's currently being played as the general behind the ball for the Cats. So is it potentially the role that he had back a few years ago when he was one of the top defenders? Maybe, or is it the role that he had last year, which sort of just
saw him drop to almost 400K.
Yeah, it's too much of a risk for me, especially with the early bye. I probably won't look at him. I would rather him in the midfield, to be honest with you, because that's consistent scoring. I don't like it. I think he's going to rely too much on intercept marks and these sorts of stuff. He doesn't really play on at kick-ins too much as well. He's one of the ones that just
bombs it.
Yeah. I'm not the biggest fan of it this year. I think he's probably
upside's there.
Upside, yeah. There is upside, absolutely. Especially if he has that role that he had a couple of years back where he was, 650K almost. But I think we're both pretty keen to just move on to this last guy because with the notes we received, James Sicily's back in defence for this practice match. And oh boy.
And tearing at a new one.
Oh boy. I at the start of the preseason, this is before absolutely anything went on, before any training news came out, and when SuperCoach opened, James Sicily was in my first team because Tom Barras and Josh Battle coming to the Hawks, I saw it as James Sicily to get back to his piggy best, like from a couple of years back. his 40 touch game against St Kilda, those sort of stuff each week. And then during the preseason, he's training all over the place, forward, sometimes in defense, had a few CBAs. It looked like he was going to be the Mr. Fix-It and wasn't going to be great. But seeing him, 2 weeks out from the season, playing in a practice match, down back, in a good role, I'm back interested, mate. What about you?
Yeah, I am. And I hate it as an Essendon man, but it's important to know that you've got to separate your personal bias when you're looking to be as good as you can be in SuperCoach. And while I dislike Sicily, I think for SuperCoach, if he's playing that role, he's almost a necessity for you to start the year with the price point. What is he, 520K?
532, I believe. Which
is probably
insane.
As cheap as what he would have started for the last 2 or 3 years. So if that role sticks, his intercept marking, we know he loves to kick long. And after it goes 40 meters or more, it's considered even if it is a turnover, it's not considered that in SuperCoach terms. So just bulk point scoring abilities. And Hawks look to get the ball in his hands too. So, is he if he's in that role, and he stays in that role, he's a set and forget.
Absolutely. I'm 100% with you.
But
can he stay in that role?
Yeah.
Will he get pushed forward at times?
I think if Hawthorn start to struggle forward of centre with kicking goals,
I think there is a very high chance that he will end up in the forward line at some point this year.
Yeah.
I'm happy to put him as potential keeper just because of that question mark.
Yeah.
But my God, if he stays in that piggy role that he had a few years back, he's up there for D2, D3, these conversations easily.
Yeah, for sure. So, ladies and gentlemen,
that's the list, mate.
Yeah, there you have it. So, for those of you listening on all audio platforms, if you give us a 5-star review, that'd be much appreciated. That'd get us out to the broader SuperCoach community. Set and forget, we have Sheasel and Whitfield in potential keeper. We have Callum Mills, Jaden Short, Isaiah Wanganeen Malera, Luke Ryan, and James Sicily. Your value picks are Bo Allen, Toby Travaglia, Zach Reed, James Leake, and Caleb Smith. Upsides there, but meh. Sardell Hawley, Maxi Holmes, Jack Sinclair, Matt Whitlock, Jed Buslinger, and Tom Stewart. And in the Campbell chesses, which mean not really relevant to start the year or we're not fond of their form or their role, is Caden Coleman, Sam Flanders, Riley Bice, Luke Trainer, Josh Gibcus, Dan Houston, and Colby McKercher. Anything else you'd like to add before we knock off for the day, mate?
No, I'd say we've done well there. I think
so too.
I think that's probably pretty accurate up to right now. It'll probably change 7 times in the next 2 weeks before the season starts. But yeah, this is a fun little concept.
Yeah.
It's nice to just give our direct thoughts on some of these guys that most people have.
Yeah, for sure, mate. Feel free to take a screenshot if you like at home, if you'd like to refer to it when you're trying to pick your sides, or even better, jump into our Patreon where we've got team or player ranking, from 1 through to 250, who we believe are the top 250 players in the AFL this season to select in your SuperCoach sides this year. Before we go as well, Deadly, we have the SuperCoach World Cup back in the Insight. If you think you've got what it takes to be the best SuperCoach player in the world, that is a combination of NRL, AFL, BBL, and NBL. The link will be in the description below. Click on that and register your details with us at Inside Fantasy Sports. The winner, Twitch at Flinch last year. Well done, Mitchell. He won almost $1,000 being the best player in SuperCoach in the world. So congratulations, mate. He's going to try and go back-to-back. And we've already had a massive influx of people wanting to get involved. So if this is you, if you think you've got what it takes to take out the grand prize, let us know. We'll register you and get you started today. But for today, down below is Deadly. I'm the horse. This is the defense. Next up is going to be midfield. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll see you then.
Catch you tonight.
Yes, sir.